Welcome to A Little Faith. I am Levi, and I'm here with Julie Anderson. How are you doing, Julie?
I'm fine, Levi. How are you doing?
Good. It's great to see you and to chat with you here. We're going to talk about an upcoming music release that you are putting out onto Spotify and other streaming channels with WCF. The name is The Time of Singing Has Come.
Yes.
And we're excited about that.
Me too.
You were just telling me before we pressed record about how you or what inspired this release. So you said you went to Great Lakes Bible School?
Yes. I was at Great Lakes Bible School this summer, the second time I'd ever been there. And I was there maybe 10 years previous. And my son Grant, who attended several times, wanted to go. So I took him. And I was asked to do the children's and the adult music this year, which I was very excited about. And I used a lot of my own music. So Paul and Mark asked if I would be interested in getting my music out there. And I was very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we've gone through with this project because it was fun for me to listen to these songs. But these are all recordings from other times, right? Like there's
Yes.
there's no fresh and new recording on this, which like no brand new recording.
Not for this first one. We thought we could get it up and running a little bit faster if they were pre-recorded songs, and I got permission from all the people who made the CDs.
Oh, good.
If I could put an album together of my songs that are already pre-recorded. And then we're, Lord willing, going to work on getting some of the other more recent songs done in a professional way if possible. Yeah.
Awesome. Because music has been like important to you for a long time. Do you have a number? How many songs you've written? Do you know that?
It's
number?
about right now. We've made a list, my daughters and I, because we're going to try to make a book of all the music put together, so that I don't have to look under the piano or in a box or whatever. Somebody needs it. And I've got about 120 songs between children and adult songs.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's a lot more than I thought. So we put them all together.
Yeah. So yeah, music has obviously been a big part of your life then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thank you for sharing this. I guess so let's talk about these songs. What made you choose these 6 songs?
Well, like I said, they were pre-recorded. Some of them were. One of them is from the youth conference, which I will talk about, and that was pre-recorded on a CD and called the Song of Moses or Moses. It might have just been called Moses, and that was from Manitoulin Youth Conference. And then there was some CDs from British Columbia and some from South Australia. So we went through and picked all of those, and then I tried to put them together in a theme, which we came up with the Time of Singing Has Come. And there's actually 2 recordings on the CD of that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to, I'm going to bring up the list in front of me so I don't forget any of the songs, and because I have them kind of color coded, because the ones on the CD were actually from they started, one of them is from 1990. I wrote it in 1990, and it's called Hannah's Song. And it comes from 1 Samuel 2, and it's Hannah's prayer after she gives her son Samuel to Eli. And it's the prayer, what I loved, it's Hannah, so it's my daughter's name, so I really liked that story of Hannah. But also Mary repeats a lot of the words that Hannah did. And so when you think about it, it appears that Hannah was praying for a son, for the Messiah. And I wrote another song on that, which maybe will be in a future CD. And this particular song, she's rejoicing because God lifts up those who are low. And Mary, said the same words, and they're looking for a Messiah. So that was from 1990. I am going in order of the year I wrote them rather than the order they're on the CD. Then
that sounds good. No, that sounds fun.
Just for some organization. So the next set of songs on the CD are from 1992. And I wrote a cantata. I used them at Shippensburg and it was Hanover at the time. for the greatest of these is love was the name of the cantata. And love is patient is 1 Corinthians 13. Everybody knows those verses are very well loved because they're about loved. And I was excited that God provided me some music when I read those verses. And so I wrote that one. And it's so beautiful because it shows how love is an action. Love is something what we do. And there's another song I wrote, Let Yours Not Be the Outward Adorning, which talks about, and it's really for everyone. It's not what we put on or what we have on the outside. It's what comes out of the inside, the inner part of your heart. And it could be evil, but through Christ and training our hearts, we can have the qualities of love. So those both were written in 1992. Let Yours Not Be the Outward Adorning was put on the Thy Kingdom Come CD through South Australia, Christadelphian Youth Choir. And the Love is Patient was on our Blessed Hope CD from South Australia. So, I know people don't use CDs so much anymore, but for those of us who remember them, they were used quite a bit.
I remembered when I was listening to the music ahead of this interview. I remembered "Love Is Patient" because my mom would play our Blessed Hope a bunch when I was I would have been a kid in the mid '90s, so I heard that song many times. So I recognized that one right away when I listened to it.
That's really nice. Yeah, I was very excited when these got recorded. There's a special feeling when you've put notes together and you can hear how they're supposed to sound, but until the voices really come in and sing them, you really don't know what they're going to sound like. So it's so exciting when they do. And we played all these CDs for my kids too, because I think my kids are, at least the older ones, are about your age. So then the next set, one of the songs is called Lift Up Your Eyes, and it's from Genesis 13. And the theme for the Bible schools that I was doing that summer was, May His glory fill the whole earth. So in 1994, that was the next group of songs. And one of them on this album we're putting out is called Lift Up Your Eyes from Genesis 13, verse 14 through 17. And I was looking for songs on the theme that I had, which was May His glory fill the whole earth. And I wanted to find verses that talked about the land being inherited, that the reward will be on earth, and that God's earth will be filled with His glory. And so I had Genesis 13, verse 14 through 17, which is when Abraham is promised the land. Lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward, eastward and westward. For all the land that you see, I will give to you and to your seed forever. And I was really excited about this song because it's kind of like, it has a little bit of a Jewish sound to it. I grew up with all kinds of music, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit later, but it had like a very marchy upbeat to it. And when we take on the name of Christ, become the seed of Abraham. So it's really, really exciting for me, that song in particular. So let's see. We also on the CD will be The Time of Singing Has Come, which is what we named the album about, and Behold, He's Coming Soon. So The Time of Singing Has Come is actually on the CD twice. And the reason it's on twice is because the recordings, by the way, the other recording, Lift Up Your Eyes, was on the Promised Land CD by the British Columbia Christadelphian Youth Choir. These two songs, Behold, He's Coming Soon and The Time of Singing Has Come, are recorded in South Australia on two different CDs. But The Time of Singing Has Come is also recorded on this by Shalom, the British Columbia group as well. So one of them is with a nice male solo voice, and I'm not sure he wanted his name used, so out of respect for that, I'm not going to mention the name. He's got a gorgeous voice, and then the choir comes in, and it's just a beautiful rendition of the song. And then the other song that's from South Australia comes in with all the choir. I think it's just females first, if I remember correctly, and then the choir comes in. But that one has a descant that I wrote later, and it just has a different sound to the whole song. And they're both very, very good, which shows me that when we can all sing together, we can even sing the song, the same song, but we can all do it differently. And it doesn't mean that we're not at one with each other. It just means we each have a different voice, and all our voices being put together are important and special. So I really enjoyed having the two different versions of that song. And then Behold, He's Coming Soon is from Revelation 22. And a few key verses from that section. It was also on Thy Kingdom Come CD. It was written in the program, May His Glory Fill the Whole Earth. Okay. It was put in that theme because when Christ comes, it's Behold, He's coming soon. So it's talking about Christ coming back to the earth. And this one I had a lot more trouble with, because most of the time when I write a song, I read the scripture and then the song comes to me. This one, I had a melody that I really liked. And I was trying and praying to get verses that would fit it. And it took me a little while, but I finally came up with, Behold, He's coming soon. He will bring His reward to repay everyone for what he has done. I am the Alpha and the Omega. He is the first and the last, the beginning and end. Yeah, so, and then it changes keys as you go up, and the piano is kind of very rolly and quite different from the other songs. So that was those two. And then the last song I didn't talk about on the CD is quite emotional. And I think you will remember the story behind this song, A Prayer of Moses. So A Prayer of Moses was actually composed in 2007. And this recording was from the Manitoulin Youth Choir singing it. And when I first wrote this song, I was at the piano at home in my music room, and I had satisfy us in the morning with thy steadfast love, that you may rejoice and be glad. Be glad all your days. Make us glad as many days as thou afflicted us, and as many years as evil you have seen, or we have seen. And I really didn't know how much that would affect me, and how much I would sing that song, and how much I needed that song, until a little bit later, which I'll share with you in a moment. So Grant came in, he heard this, and he was so excited. He was 20 years old, my son Grant. And he said, Mom, that sounds like a spiritual. I want to arrange that. And little did I know, but Manitoulin Youth Conference was doing Moses that summer, and this song is from Psalms 91 and 92, which is the Song of Moses. So, or written by Moses. I can't remember if it's called, the whole psalm is called the Song of Moses, but Psalms are songs. So he took it, and he had at a school, a high school near us. He was working for a music director who had him put in all the keyboards and all the computer system there, which was fairly new at the time, for students to write music and to do different things with music. So Grant was able to use that lab, and he spent, I don't know if it was a day or two, he put in some transition parts. He did a beautiful arrangement, and then he brought me there. I think it was 11 o'clock at night. He says, Mom, you have to come and listen. It was so beautiful. I was so excited. And then he sent it to Dan Osborne, and Dan Osborne put it into the music program. So we were all very excited about that. But like I said, little did we know, Grant couldn't make it to the Friday night concert at Manitoulin that year because he had previous commitments. So he had to leave the camp early. And he got in a car accident, which, Levi, you know about, but I don't know if all the listeners will know. So I'm going to share that. And he was in a coma. In fact, he was in a coma for about 6 weeks. And the young people at the camp, one of them was my daughter. My other daughter, I can't remember if she was there, but I think she came from somewhere else. She couldn't be there that year. But anyway, we had to all meet at London Victoria Hospital. Hannah had to come home from the camp where we stayed with Grant for while he was in a coma. And during this time, the kids at the camp had to decide whether they were going to sing the song or not because it was so emotional. And because Grant and I had written it, and they decided to go ahead and sing it. And the recording that we have is from that performance. And then they went
Wow,
ahead and
yeah.
sang it again when they came to the hospital when Grant was moved to our Detroit area. So
Yeah. Yeah, that was a very emotional time at the camp, and being there then. And
so you were there.
Jess, my wife, and I were there at the camp, and we were engaged at the time. And Jess was performing in the choir, so her voice is in there somewhere. And and performing that, knowing what we all knew, it was not. It was a very emotional moment, because for so long, and for so long, we didn't know how it was going to work out with Grant. Like so long,
we didn't know,
and for such a long time. So I'm really glad we're highlighting that again, sharing that song again.
Well, and we were very glad that the camp sang it because we played it several times for Grant afterwards. And they, as I said, they sang it at the hospital. He didn't get to hear it from his hospital room, but we heard it as a family. And it meant so much to us to know that the support that we had and how the music touched people and how Grant touched people. So we were very grateful and we're thankful that this can be shared on this album.
Thank you. I think it's nice to have all those stories, and it really is a collection, right? So that's a recording from. These are recordings from from 2006. So from 1990 to 2006. Multiple countries. 2007. Yeah. So in multiple countries, multiple choirs. So it's definitely cool to have all these together.
I want to say something else very quickly to show how much music works in the brain and how wonderful it is. And one of the reasons why God tells us to sing. Grant, when he first started waking up from the coma, he could not remember writing this song.
Right.
But he could remember the song and he could remember all the words. And praise God, he was able to have his memory came back later. It took, I think, almost a year to get his memory back for a lot of these events that happened before his accident. But he did finally remember it. But the words and the music were there in his heart and his mind. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, that is absolutely stunning. Yeah, music is such a mysterious. I think there's a real mysterious, obviously spiritual thing around it that has such a power sometimes. You talked a little bit about your writing process in that rundown. You mentioned that usually you start with verses and then find a melody from that. But for one of those songs, you had a melody first.
Yes.
How common is that? How common do you lead with a subject, or do you lead with the melody?
Mostly I lead with the subject. That I would say a good 80% of my songs start with words. And then because I want the music to feel what the words are saying. But there are times where I get a melody. And for example, recently, Simon Terry-Polly, who runs the Worldwide Worship and Praise sessions on Fridays, and he does a great job with that. He wanted me to write a song on Psalm 146. And I had a melody I liked. And here's where this melody came from. A lot of times melodies come in my head. I can hear them. I can't see pictures like people see pictures. Some people can see pictures when they close their eyes and see faces. I don't, but when I close my eyes or even when they're open, I can hear music in my head. So this particular melody came from Grant and I trying something new. We saw, I think, somebody on YouTube take 3 notes from a stack of notes that were in all the notes on a scale and we each picked 3 notes and we were supposed to make a melody out of that. And so I picked E, D, B. And I was da, 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 da. And I came up with a whole song, but I had no words. And so when Simon asked me this, I prayed about it and I tried that song with it. And so I came up with, I'm going to try it just a little lower key. Praise the Lord, oh my soul, all my praise to God I will give. I will sing praise to my King as long as I live. He is the maker of heaven and earth, the sea and everything in them. He remains faithful forever and ever and ever. And then I was able to put the other verses about how he lifts those who are low, and then he takes care of widows and foreigners and the fatherless, which recently, since I've had some sad deaths of people that we love, in a little bit of an abundance in the last couple of weeks, it just made me think so much more of what those words mean and what that psalm means. So that was another way that I put songs to music. And then if somebody has a special request, they send me verses and I will write something for a wedding or for a kids program or adults program. And then I write poetry.
Nice.
And I have about 200 poems that I want to also put into a book besides just my music. And when one of the songs are music worthy, I will write a song with it. So if you want to hear one of those, I'll sing that one for you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, before I sing it though, I want to say the reason I started really prolifically writing poems was because while Grant needed a lot of attention through therapies and all of that, he had a brother 10 years younger than him, Ethan, and I couldn't be there for him in the mornings like I was for my other children. And so I wrote poems on the counter every morning with a dry erase marker. We have an old counter and I didn't care if I wrote on it but it would erase, but I would take a picture of the poem and then the next day erase it and write another one. And they would be encouraging words about God, but they would also be words about his math. If he was having a math test, there's a lot of math poems to help him remember geometry and different things that he was taking. I had poems about our family history or just all sorts of things, his sports. But this was one that I had on the counter, and it's called Ride the Storm. When your thoughts toss to and fro, and you don't know which way to go, your life, it seems to have no form. You must hang on and ride the storm. Ride the storm. Ride the storm. Though life seems to have no form, you must hang on and ride the storm. As days are gray and pull you down, you think there is no one around who understands you're not the norm. Don't give up hope, just ride the storm. Ride the storm. Ride the storm. Though no one sees you're not the norm, don't give up hope, just ride the storm. Remember, clouds soon will be past. The tempest days will not long last. Above the dark, the sun shines warm. So hold on tight and ride the storm. Ride the storm. Ride the storm. Above the dark, the sun shines warm. So hold on tight and ride the storm.
That's beautiful. Wow, thank you. That's a beautiful song. Thank you so much for sharing so much. I think I'm really excited that we're getting this out and yeah, hopefully we can do some more recording in the future. This is great. So if anybody has any questions or they want permissions or anything, they can reach out to you.
Yes,
Obviously.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. We
Good.
can
Yeah.
put
Thank
out
you.
my email and people can reach me if they want permission to use the music or um,
Yeah.
the it, get copies of. We're going to try to make a book of these songs,
Right.
these 6 songs, and maybe put a couple of bonus songs in there. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do
That'd
there.
be
There's
wonderful.
another song that Grant wrote with me, and since we're featuring him, maybe we'll put that one in there too.
That's good. And then you said you have a mission of putting all 120 together at some point.
Yes, I think we'll probably do them in booklets and then put them all together.
Yeah. Go piece by piece. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Julie. It was great to be with
Yeah,
you, and
yeah.
thank you for sharing so much. And I'm excited for more people to benefit from it.
Yes, yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Music has been a big part of my life, and my parents were both musical, and they met lead roles in the opera Pagliacci, or it was a small form of Pagliacci. And
Wow.
so music has
Good.
been a part of my life since I was young, and I didn't go into music because my father said it wasn't very reliable. But
Yeah.
God's using me with music in a different way, and I'm very grateful for that.
I'm thankful that God's used your music to help so many other people, and I'm thankful that we're going to keep doing that. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.